Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Welcome back to my channel if this is your first, second, third, fourth, fifth, whatever time it is. Welcome. If you are new here, my name is Atia Heals, and I love to create a space like this one that is a safe space for us to come together to heal, to grow, and to be empowered and set on the right path wherever you are in your journey. Now, today's video is about 5 signs. We may do more than 5. I'm not sure yet. We just gonna get the conversation going. But um, signs that you are healing. A lot of times, when we're going through our healing journey, sometimes our healing journey is intentional. Sometimes it happens over time, and we don't even realize that we're healing from something. And so, I find that a lot of people don't actually do the self checks. Um, so I want to share some things that may be happening for you along your healing journey that you may not even recognize is a sign that you are in fact healing. So let's get into it. One of the first signs that you are healing is that you begin to feel safe in your body. Anytime you've experienced a traumatic event, you know that there is something that shifts in your body. Your shoulders get a little bit more tight. You may get aches and pains in different areas. I know when I was at the peak of dealing with my PTSD, I would deal with a lot of anxiety. I would get pains in different parts of my body, and I was young too. Like I was in my 20s, so having joint pains in your 20s, like I think 20-year-olds now are probably experiencing joint pains, but it's not normal. But I was in my 20s having joint pains in my toes. I was having joint pains in my elbows and my shoulders, and I didn't know it at the time, that those were signs of trauma. That it was a sign that my body was holding on to the trauma that I had experienced in that season of my life. I would experience a lot of anxiety. I would get headaches. At one point, I was even stuttering. Um, and just found it very, like, if you asked me to speak, I would get a stress headache that shot up the back of my head. Now go figure, because this is what I'm called to do, that you would ask me to do it, and all of a sudden I would literally become like the level of nervousness that would hit me, it would literally cripple me. And so that was a sign that I was dealing with some level of trauma still living in my body, even though I had come out of the relationship that was causing me the stress and the trauma. So when I began to heal, a lot of those things stopped. So the stutter was gone, because as you're healing, you're becoming more confident. You're starting to feel, you stop looking over your shoulder. Um, your pace of life tends to slow down when you're healed, because you're no longer in this like panic or worry that something's about to happen, right? Or something bad's about to happen. So the first sign, or one of the first signs that tell you that you are healing or have healed, is that you begin to feel safe in your body. So you start to feel calm. You begin to feel your emotions again. Sometimes when we go through traumatic events, we become numb. Or we go through a traumatic event and then we numb our feelings using other coping mechanisms. For some people, it may be drugs, it may be alcohol, it may be religion, it may be whatever your cup of tea has been or is. People use different forms to cope with the trauma that they've experienced. And so when you heal, you give yourself space to feel your emotions without it ruling you or overtaking you, right? So you can still feel fear of something, but it doesn't cripple you. You can still feel nervous about something, but it's like a healthy nervous. You could still feel sad about something, but it's a healthy sad. It's not a sadness that's so heavy that it pulls you down into a pit and leaves you there sometimes for days or months or however long it may be. So Feeling safe in your body allows for you to have trust within yourself, to know that, okay, I'm feeling these emotions. This is why I'm feeling the emotions. Let me sit in it, process it, and then we learn and grow and move from there. So that's sign number one. The second thing that happens, I mentioned it a little earlier in this video, is that you don't feel sick anymore. I remember always feeling like I wanted to throw up, because you live it with this cloud of fear over you, like something bad is about to happen. And for some people, it may manifest as literal nausea in your belly. For some people, it actually manifests as sickness. So I have a friend of mine who was going through something really traumatic, and she just started getting sick all the time. She was very healthy, but in terms of her diet, she would exercise, all of those things, but she would be sick all the time. She would eat something, get sick. She would have migraines to the point where she couldn't even get out of bed. Um, she would constantly have to go to the doctors because it was just something happening with her. And so it wasn't until she walked through her healing process that all of those things seemed to leave her, or to stop. And that was a sign that she was healing, right? So sign number two is that when you begin to heal, you no longer feel sick anymore. The next sign that you are healing is that you begin to look forward to activities and being social again. Unfortunately, the aftermath of trauma is that it makes you want to isolate, because you deal with a lot of guilt and shame about what you've experienced, and even fear of sharing what you've gone through. So we isolate ourselves. So one of the things that begins to happen when you heal from your trauma and you heal from different things that you've experienced, is you begin to look forward to being social again. Um, I remember when I was dealing with church hurt, and I didn't want to go to church anymore. I didn't want to talk to God anymore. I didn't want anything to do with anything that looked like Christianity. Like, don't even bring it to me. When I began to heal that part of me that was broken, I began to desire fellowship again. I began to desire being in that space with God that allows for me to have corporate worship, and not necessarily just being in my own bubble, but actually being among people who who have the same beliefs that I do, who love to come together and worship God together. And it in that season, I had to really be careful because, and this is a completely left field topic, this is probably a whole other video, but I had to be careful of the spaces that I went into, because some of them were triggering, right? Some of them were a reflection of where I was coming from, or looked like the spaces that I was coming from. So it almost pushed me back into isolation. So I would encourage you, depending on where you are in your healing journey, if you are in a space where you feel like, okay, I want to be social again, or if you are in a space where maybe you were dealing with some form of church hurt, and you now want to, you've now healed and you want to start seeking that fellowship again, I would encourage you to be bold, and know that I would vet the spaces that you're going to go into, because not everywhere, unfortunately, is a safe space. And if you're not careful, you could find yourself being triggered and pushed back into isolation. So because this video is about healing, we want to stay on topic, okay? But I just wanted to add that little piece in there because it is very real, and not everybody is at the same place in their healing journey. So if you are in a space where you are looking to become social again, just be mindful, and be bold, and know that even though it may look like where you're coming from, you have already gone through your process of healing, and it cannot do to you what where you are coming from has done to you, right? So you are not in the same place that you were when you experienced your trauma the first time. And so even though a space may reflect where you're coming from, it cannot impact you the way that other spaces may have impacted you in the past, because you are bold, you are more conscious now, you're more aware. And so to protect yourself, even if to protect yourself, I would vet the spaces that you go into. And if it seems like it's something that is familiar to you, there are many other spaces that are full of love, full of joy, full of exactly what it is that you need in the season. So, number three is that you will look forward to activities and look forward to being social again. Uh, the next thing that happens when you are healing, and I love this one because this is really a sign that you've not just healed, but you've become whole. The next thing is that you no longer feel the need to avoid triggers. So triggers can be people, they can be places, they can be objects. And just like I was talking about in the last one, some places, some people, some moments can be very triggering for you, especially if you haven't come to a place of wholeness. There is a difference between healed and whole. And so I want to so when you are at that place of wholeness, one of the signs is that you are no longer looking to avoid your triggers. If you are there in your journey, good for you. Find a space to celebrate the journey that you've walked through when it comes to your healing, because many people do not get to this place where they're no longer triggered by things. I find we are now in a very sensitive society and culture where people are easily triggered by things, or people are using the word triggered so loosely, not really understanding what it actually means. But if you are in a space where you are no longer avoiding triggers because you've gone through your process and you've done the work, and the things that once would trigger you no more, I am so happy for you, because that feat right there. I think a lot of people don't talk about what that feels like, to be in a space where what used to trigger you doesn't trigger you anymore. And I think that if more people understood that that place is possible, then they would be a lot more open to their healing journey. And so I think that is all I'm going to share with you guys today. So the first sign was that you feel safe in your body, that you're able to feel emotions, but the emotions don't pull you into a bad place. Um, the second thing was that you don't feel sick anymore. The third thing, when you are healing, that is a sign that you've healed, is that you look forward to being social. And the last thing I mentioned, I think this was the last one, was that you no longer feel the need to avoid triggers. Now, if you are looking for some tips and tricks and ways to help you along your healing journey, there is another video on this page, on this channel, that give you some tips on how to heal once you've experienced, hello, once you have experienced abuse. And so, again, my name is Atia Heals. I love to create safe spaces where people can come and heal and be reminded that they are loved, that their healing matters. And I think that's all for today. Is there something you want to say? You want to say?
Yay!
Hi. All right. Bye bye, guys. Say bye bye.
Bye.